Right, morning guys. This is our first little tutorial on Illustrator. We're just going to recap some of the image trace stuff that we learnt last night. So first, download your images, save them to your desktop or wherever you can find them, and then we can open them in Illustrator in two different ways. One, we can go File, Open, and then find the images. So I've just saved a couple on my desktop. We'll do the letter A first, and then that should open it into our screen. The other way we can do it is to go back to our desktop, and you can click on either of your images and right click, open with Adobe Illustrator. If it's the first time you're doing it, you can go choose app, and then you can search for Adobe Illustrator through your programs, but I won't do that now. So we'll open these up so everyone can see, and we'll get started again. Alright, so now I've got three different letters just here that look slightly different. Alright, so just remember zooming in and out is Control plus and minus for zooming in and out, and Control plus, Control minus, Control 0 is making it full screen. Okay. Alright, so first step for image tracing, you select your image. You'll notice that it pops up with some of the tools at the top, and also under the properties tab just here you'll see that some of those also sit here. So apologies if my head's in the way of any of these tools. I'll make sure I move it out of the way. So first step of image tracing is exactly that. We want to image trace this object. So image trace just down here, or you can select it up here. So first, you've got all the different presets you can change between. I'll just highlight a couple of them now. We've got a pretty basic image here, nice clean crisp lines. So we probably go straight to black and white logo. If I change those around, you might see some different effects, but for this plain image it won't change too much. So I'm just going to go black and white logo for this one. So that's the first step. Once you're happy with how it looks, you hit expand, and expand, that process turns your JPEG into a vector image. So now you can deselect your image. Now it is pretty much a vector image. If I zoom in, you can see it's got little blue lines with our paths and our anchors where they meet. So what we're going to do now is we don't want this little box around the outside that the image came with. So we can just deselect or click off of the image. Now click back on. Sorry, we ungroup. So now that's ungrouped all of it. You can see it's all still one image. Deselect it. Now we should be able to individually select different components of that image. So you can see there's an outside box and just the letter. So for this case here, we can just delete the box on the outside. Now if I select my image, I should just see that square or rectangle, in this case, just being around the actual font or the letter that we have. So from here, we're happy with that. Now all we need to do pretty much is, for laser cutting, we want to turn this into a clear image that has no fill, and change the line or the outside line to a red line, which is 0.001 for cutting. So let's do that. So what we can do now is click on the image over here in our color palette. So we've got the fill icon and also the outline icon. So if we double click on that, we can then go to the colors. So we can choose any color that we want. But just for this case, we've got the three icons down the bottom. We've got the fill or color, gradient, and none for no fill. So for this one, we want no fill. So you can see that it strips the color away. Now I'm going to click off that. So again, don't be worried, your letter's still there, because if I select it, or if I hit Control A for select all, it brings the image back up. So now clicking on your outline tool, saying that when you click on whichever one you click on, it brings it in front of the other one. So you click on that, and now you can double click on your color, and you can select with your cursor, you can select where your color is. But for this one, we can drag it right into the corner, or if you notice the RGB values just here, that's the values that we need. Just say if I click off here, I could just type that in. So I can type in 255 tab 0 tab 0. So that is a true RGB red. So now if I click off of it and zoom in, you can see that that's red. All we've got to do now is change the thickness of the line, which is the stroke. Actually, I'll go back a step. If for some reason, if you miss or the color doesn't come up or it goes gray, what can happen, it can be in grayscale mode. So what you can do is click on your stroke icon on the right hand side here, and it gives you a slightly different menu. So if that is happening to you and it's going grey, or there's no colour coming up from this side over here, what you can do is create that new swatch. So that new swatch is you're creating your own individual colour, and if we select that, if it is just going grey, it's probably got grayscale selected. So all you got to do is change it to RGB and then play around with the values to make it full red for cutting. So hopefully that solves a couple of issues. So now to change the stroke width of that line, all you can do is pretty much up the top here or over on the side, just change it to 0.001. And that's a pretty standard figure or value for laser cutting across multiple machines. So that creates a hairline line, and that is pretty much ready to cut. Now I might just do another couple of different examples, so if you had enough of that you can stop watching. But we've just got a couple of other examples here. The denim E and also the D that we did in last night's session. So these are slightly different than that plain A that we had at the start. So the jeans one, let's have a go at doing this one. So again, image trace. So you can see it traced and it's come up with a whole range of different random pieces in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the different settings just to show you what those settings look like with a more complex or more detailed image. So that's the high photo one. We'll go 3 colors. So 3 colors just picks out the main 3 colors that are in that image, and the same with 16 and 6. So these ones will become quite tricky for laser cutting. So I might just show everyone this one. Tracing results is also previewing what your image will look like. So tracing results, those little aqua lines there, they'll actually all be cut lines or lines that you can edit in this image. So you can see that's quite messy. So try and steer away from that. So go back to tracing results. So for complex images like this, where you just want to get an outline, you're probably looking at black and white logo or creating silhouettes. So silhouette is obviously just making a silhouette of the image and just creates that one color. So for me, for this particular image, the silhouette is the best option. So once we're happy with that, we can hit expand. And now you can see it's got a couple of little random bits just here we can delete afterwards. So what we can do here, or if we're not happy with this, we can get rid of that as well. So now we can ungroup it. We can just deselect that little bit, that little K that we don't want. We might be able to deselect that, but that's all joined together, so we won't worry about that at this point. So from here, same step, fill, we get rid of, so it's just an outline. Then our outline, we make that full red, and that is ready to cut. Now this is a very, very big image, so what we can do, we can either scale it using the transform tools down the bottom. Oh, sorry, sneaky little one. Down the bottom here, we'll get rid of those. We don't need those. It's very hard to see this image, apologies for that, once we shrink it down. So we can either scale it like so. You can see how I'm just distorting that there. If you hold shift down with your image, it keeps it in the right aspect ratio. So we'll bring that down. Or if you want to be a little bit more exact, you can grab and drag these if you grab the path. Transform tool, which is really, really important when it comes to placing it on the laser cutter. You can change these to, let's link those together so it stays the same. and we'll make that 100 millimeters wide. You can change the point settings in your document setup. So where's that gone? Just drag that down to the canvas. There we go. So that's that one done. And the last one, where'd my D go? There it is. Okay, one last one for those still watching. So what we'll do, again, image trace. That's coming up as a default. We'll play around with those again. 3 colors. We should get the blue, the red, and the white in this particular image. But again, we don't want it. All we want is a black and white logo. Again, click off. And then, click back on, expand. Now what we want to do is ungroup it. So now deselect, and we can get rid of this little bit of stock image down the bottom there, which should have the outline there as well. So now you can see if I hit select all, it's just my logo. We might scale that down. So we'll just do, again, width of 100 millimeters. And we'll just zoom in. So now, again, get rid of the color, the fill, because any black in this will actually engrave. So we'll get rid of that. And then we'll change that to pure red, or pure RGB red, and change the stroke to 0.001. So that's pretty much a bit of an overview for image tracing. So hopefully find that helpful and a bit of a refresher from last night. Cheers.